Hello and welcome to the Style Stories podcast with me, your host, personal stylist Lisa Gilby. In today's episode, I was chatting with Joe and Rachel from small independent label ByElleven, UK-based small brand. We chatted about how we really want to dress as working mums, what you need in your wardrobe to do that, how to nail pulled together day-to-day style, the magic of adding vintage to your wardrobe, and also what we like to wear on a night out. The festive season is approaching, but just on nights out in general. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So a huge welcome to Joe and Rachel, the founders of ByElleven and fellow stylists as well. Hello, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast, ladies.
Thank you very much for having us. Hi.
It was 2 years ago that you came on last time because Rachel was pregnant. She's now got a toddler running around. And a lot has changed since then. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to have you back on to find out what's been going on, because I think you've launched something a bit different within ByElleven. But before we get into our chat today, could you just give me a bit of background about yourselves and introduce yourselves?
So I'm Rachel. I'm a fashion stylist and the business.
And I'm Joe, the other half of ByElleven. And same, I've been in fashion for 20 years and done everything from buying to styling to consultancy. So yeah.
So what is ByElleven? If you can just explain to the people listening. So, just describe the brand. It's an online boutique, so it's an online clothing brand.
Yeah, so ByElleven as a brand, and then within ByElleven we've got we're a slow fashion brand. And then within that, we've got separate parts of the business. So we've got a street style inspired collection of organic t-shirts and sweatshirts and tracks, which is our casual edit. And then we have our vintage ByElleven, which is tailoring, and and we'll talk a little bit more about that. That's a tailored edit of amazing fabric, very hand-picked vintage pieces. And then we've got our Made in England collection, which is quite new. Definitely, we didn't have it last time we spoke, and
very different now.
Yeah, so it's manufactured in the UK, designed by us, manufactured in the UK.
Yes, it's basically 3 pillars to the business now.
3 pillars to the business, and we're going to talk a bit more about the vintage bit because I'm interested in that as well. Just the mixing in the vintage, in your outfits and how you source it and all of that stuff. So are you just online, or are you in boutiques, or is it you're just an online?
It's predominantly online. We do pop up in certain places, but we are predominantly it's an online business. Yeah.
Online. So tell me what's been happening with you guys since the last time I saw you. I know, we were just, it was sort of lockdown vibes then, really, still, wasn't it? It was kind of, we were out of the woods a bit, but it was still that kind of feeling of people were wearing their comfortable clothes all the time. And I know that your aesthetic, I would describe your aesthetic, tell me if you agree or not, as relaxed, undone, but tailored.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely still relaxed, and we've pivoted a lot since, like I was saying, in lockdown, everyone was in loungewear, and that's what we initially launched with. But we've sort of moved with the times and grown as a brand now. So even though we've still got, we're never going to be super, super dressy, but we do definitely have a lot more tailoring with the vintage that we source, and even the Made in England collection's a lot smarter. So we're definitely moving away from, have already moved away from the loungewear pigeonhole that we had originally.
Yeah, we lent into that because obviously we launched in 2020 and it made absolute sense. Mm-hmm. And it was what we kind of wanted to wear as well. We were looking at everyday clothes, and that presented itself as our everyday clothes.
Yeah.
We lent into that. We also lent into it because our people's lifestyles, it fitted their lifestyles, and we are a business. So we were like, what are we wearing, and what are people wearing? And it was a reflection of us, with our own signature on it. So like brighter colours and good contrasts. But it was mainly for us when we launched the business, we knew it was going to have different facets to it. Yeah. But at that time, everyone was wearing athleisure, casual, and we wanted to do it in a way that was better fabric. So we launched all of ours at launch were all organic. All of our cottons were all organic. It's all got certified. It's all ethically sourced. So we knew, even though there was other brands out there doing it, we knew ours was, we were doing it better. And that was the whole premise of the launch of the business. It's when they say, if you bring a product to market, you either have to have a solutionize, fix a problem, or do something better. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I'm just getting from this, how fashion always tells us about where we are in time, right? So you can look at photos and sort of think, okay, that was the 60s, that was the 70s, obviously the fashion moves with time. And like you said, you were delivering what people wanted at that time, which was to wear athleisure. I mean, can you imagine if we'd been going to Sainsbury's in a taffeta skirt or something, you'd look unhinged. So, but it's evolved. But how, what sort of trends have you noticed? What kinds of things? I mean, apparently boho made a huge comeback this season. I don't get you girls as boho girls, but just
No, and I suppose as a brand, we don't really follow the trends. Like sometimes, like obviously burgundy was a huge trend, and we touch on it, but because the whole point of the brand is it's something that you're going to wear and rewear again and again. So if we were to follow trends too much, obviously then they'd be in and out. Yeah. Also, it goes against, like, with being slow fashion, we don't put that many clothes out to market that fast and that frequently. So again, for us to follow trends in terms of the brand, it just wouldn't make sense. So it's more of like a capsule wardrobe, but with our stamp on it. So it's got like our personality in it.
We make allowances, don't we? I think because we're both stylists, we come at everything from a styling perspective, because there's, I mean, you've seen all over Instagram, it's wearing versus styling. And, styling up an outfit can absolutely change the look of it. So when sometimes we'll, from a personal perspective, we might lean into a trend that we kind of like the look of from a styling perspective, but never from a head to toe. So, I mean, boho, no, I wouldn't say either of us wear boho. And I think I did the whole, everyone wanted to be Sienna Miller back in the day, but I kind of want to be Sienna Miller now, in the version that she is now, in it every day, in a casual. All the pictures of her in New York over the years, her evolution and her getting to the age that she is now. I want to be that. I don't want to be the boho version. I'm not interested in relive. And if we were going to relive it, it would definitely be using vintage and not new.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the look of it. So, obviously the Chloe show, everyone went mad about it. I get, like, Sienna Miller, first of all, she's just such a style icon. She's just got it, hasn't she? Yeah. She just puts things together. She knows how to style things. Yeah. She just puts outfits together. But, you look at the Chloe show that everyone was mad for this summer, and that sort of spawned this boho revival. And the dresses and everything, it's beautiful. But can I picture myself actually wearing that? I would literally be floating around thinking it doesn't fit with.
Lifestyle. It doesn't fit with lifestyle.
Yeah, it's got to make sense. I think, like you said, it's gorgeous, and I love all that, like the look of it.
The aesthetic.
We don't wear wearing dresses. Like, we're two working mums. Like, we don't go out that much, so where we wearing a dress too.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. We wanted a brand that actually reflected it's not even 80% of the time, it's probably 95% of the time how we dress, which is casual with a tailored edge.
I mean, your wardrobe has to, this is what I talk about a lot on the podcast, and I'm going to actually ask you in a sec what your absolute wardrobe essentials are, because this is what you're delivering. You're delivering, clothes that fit in with a lifestyle of a busy mum or someone who's, people who are working, actually living their lives, because your wardrobe has to deliver for your lifestyle. There is no point having a load of little sparkly dresses and heels in your wardrobe. That is not the life that we lead. It's even, I'm going to ask you a bit later in the podcast how you get dressed up, because we're recording this quite near Christmas 2024. You've just got to make sure that you've got the right pieces in your wardrobe, or you're not going to wear half of it, which is, what you do and the whole idea of it. So can you just, first of all, before we go into sort of how you get dressed up, just tell me your wardrobe essentials. What do you need in your wardrobe? What are your ride or die pieces?
Blazer.
Yeah, I think ours are probably both quite similar. Yeah. Blazer, a good shirt, and obviously we buy vintage generally because we just think they're better.
A nice leather jacket.
Yeah, a good coat. We call them a dead man's coat.
Yeah,
like
dead man's coat. A big
long,
oversized, nice fabric, wool, cashmere mix, something that you're going to have, something that you pull on, and whether you put it over something casual or you put it over a dress for an evening, it feels amazing. A good coat.
Why do you call it a dead man's coat? I'm just going to jump in there.
Because we buy vintage, and we both worn vintage for so long, and I have always had a tendency to wear men's coats, which I've found vintage. Rachel likes them huge, big dead man's
never
coats.
big enough.
And when it actually, I can't take credit for the term dead man's coat. It's actually something that my friends coined about my coat, because I couldn't find it in a bar. I'd put my coat down on a cold Christmas night out, and I'd put my coat down, and I was frantic about my coat, couldn't find it, and they said she's lost a dead man's coat. I was gutted. It was a beautiful navy cashmere. I did find it in the end, but it's a beautiful coat. So yeah, it's quite. It's not something. It's something that we don't put on the website, but it's a bit of that we have in between as dead man's coat.
Yeah, I get that. That's basically sort of rummaging around in charity shops. That's kind of like,
it's a bit dark, but we quite like the idea of it. I mean, and the coat lives on. I'm sure
and
you'd be
it's
thrilled.
the stuff when we're buying vintage, the stuff you find in the pockets as well.
Yeah, the life that they led before we got them. We found all kinds.
I agree with that. A blazer, right? A blazer is an absolute wardrobe essential. If you want to, if you're wearing your jogging bottoms, your hoodie, put on a blazer. You're undone, but you're comfortable. You're fitting your lifestyle, but you're looking pulled together. That's what the blazers are. Magic, aren't they? They're just like magic.
And
the blazers and the coats do the same job. Definitely, you can look like anything underneath, can't you? And you throw that on, and you look better.
You're just pulled together. So I was looking on your website this morning, and I saw a gorgeous. So this is in the vintage section. So I just want you to tell me about that in a sec. I saw a gorgeous Prince of Wales check blazer. That was really nice. I also really loved, you've got some denim wide leg, sort of denim effect wide leg trousers that you'd styled with a white shirt and some white sandals, not in the vintage bit, but that looked amazing. Rachel, you're wearing that outfit. I thought that was fantastic. But can you just tell us about the vintage? So this is something that's grown and evolved with the business.
It's something that we launched. We did launch with vintage because when we wanted to have a comprehensive offer on the site. Neither of us are fashion designers, and more than that, neither of us are tailors. And that's the really important thing, is that even when we've started to design our own collection, tailoring is very, very niche. Unless it's done well, you end up with a terrible blazer, which is what a lot of people don't realise, that they're walking around in blazers that don't have the basic things and good shapes. And the best way we found that we could have a comprehensive offer was to bring in vintage. So we, from the off, had vintage blazers. We initially logoed them, which we kind of we loved, but we thought maybe it was too early because we weren't known as a brand. Yeah. So we had men's vintage blazers that we style with women as women's wear, and then trench coats as well. So that was the only thing we did really, was vintage blazers and trench coats from the off. And it also meant that our looks, we could pull them together quite much better than we could just, a hoodie's a hoodie until, we knew that, especially because we're online, you couldn't see the handle of it, you couldn't see that it was really soft, and you didn't know it was organic cotton without going into the product. So we wanted to create a look, and again, going back to being stylist, to style up the look. So that's where it started. And then the expansion went from demand. Yeah.
And then it's just grown and grown since.
Yeah.
So hand-picked selection of vintage that you kind of, so it helps you to style up the looks that you've already got on there.
So it does that, but also what we wanted to do was, we know when we've always bought vintage from, personally we've always bought and worn vintage, but what we understand is that it's quite overwhelming if you're time poor, or you don't know where to look, and also perspective. So one dead man's coat to someone else would just be that. It would be an old coat that might, before it's been cleaned, it might smell not very nice. It might have things in the pockets. So it holds zero appeal to them. It's seeing the potential and reframing it, and also styling it in a way which then dramatically changes what the item is. So we wanted to bring vintage to a new audience, an audience that wouldn't go and, you know, so we handpick ours. We go to vintage fairs, we go to vintage wholesalers, we've gone internationally to buy vintage, and we wanted to bring that to a whole new audience of people who don't have that opportunity or don't see the opportunity in vintage clothes, don't see what it can, how they can become more sustainable and more circular by wearing vintage. So we're bringing it to them.
Because even I personally, I don't like rooting in the types of vintage that have clearly just bought it all, you know, by the bay or whatever they call it. And you've got to really go through it. I'd like it to be presented to me as an edit. And I think a lot of people out there are the same. They'd much rather somebody else do the sourcing and the handpicking, and then it's all presented nicely, which saves you the work, because I don't like doing that either.
Well, it's handpicked by two stylists, so you know I think that's really appealing. Is, you know, I mean, when I was young, when I was sort of 18, that's all I would do. I would go and find the perfect pair of Levi's, and I would spend hours finding 501s in shops, and, you know, and I would just wear vintage coats, and I loved that whole thing. And I think a lot of the youth do now as well, you know. They do love a bit of, you know, that charity shopping, secondhand, all of that stuff. But I mean, I don't have time now. That's the thing. I mean, I just wouldn't have time to do that.
One of the reasons. So, you know, if you're time poor, I mean, it is time consuming. It's incredibly time consuming to source it. So, I mean, and so that which is probably why, you know, maybe the price point is more than people might expect to pay. Well, they're definitely more than they pay in a charity shop. But it's the time, the effort, the clean, the styling, and the rummaging to find those amazing pieces. So what we've really honed in on is making sure of all of our blazers. Most of our blazers are pure new wool, or they're cashmere. The coats are cashmere, angora, and new wool. Really incredible fabrics that if you wanted to buy new now, never mind. I mean, you've struggled to find them on the high street. If you did find them on the high street, then you're going to be paying a lot of money for them. So that's what we wanted to bring back and salvage these amazing blazers and these amazing pieces that otherwise go to landfill.
Well, you've talked about the tailoring, the value of tailoring as well, you know, and just that older vintage pieces were probably a lot more well made, right? So
incredibly,
you're getting that, and actually, if you bought that sort of equivalent now, new in a shop, it's going to cost you a load more money.
We had an influencer recently who actually she posted of her own volition that she said, I'm wearing a really crap, and I won't mention the high street brand's name, I'm wearing this really crap blazer today. She said, I didn't realise how rubbish it was until she put it on. And then the minute when you start, so we sent her a blazer because we needed it to see, and the comparison is remarkable. You know, just beautiful shoulders, beautiful shaping. Tailoring it's an art form, it really is.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to actually pay, I mean, a brand that does it really well on the high street now, but they've changed the way they describe what they do. They say they're designer now, which is M. They now describe themselves as more designer, because you're paying kind of £350 for a jacket.
Well, it's pitchy,
but how much is a blazer in your vintage range?
Up to anywhere between 55 and 70.
Yeah.
I mean, that is you're getting high quality tailoring, hand-picked by two stylists, because you've picked it out as a really good piece for a fraction of the price of getting quality tailoring somewhere else. So you could go to one of the big high street stores, you could get yourself a blazer, like you say.
You can get blazer for 35, 40. I mean, our blazers are probably too cheap for what we offer, but we know that our customer, and also it's a sign of the times. You know, I think we probably really and truly should be more around £100, but we wanted to make them affordable so people could buy into, because it's also getting that, explaining it to people and then getting them to understand it. And we mourn every blazer that goes out, because so much effort and love has gone into it, so much time, and make it look beautiful and love. We like to keep lots of them ourselves. That's the hardest part, is that we would ideally keep all of it ourselves. You know, you do more on vintage because it is a one-off piece, and we do take inspiration from them. So when we're looking for another piece, we go, do you remember that one ad that the really, you know, the back vent was really deep and it looked amazing, it really worked? Or remember that one had the slightly off-centre buttons? So you start to absorb design details that we can either use in our Made in England collection, or that we were looking for alternatives in the vintage.
I think you might have to kiss goodbye to the Prince of Wales check one, to be honest. I've got my eye on that. I love that. That's really, really nice.
Yeah.
There's also, I don't know if you've seen on Instagram, there's a bit of a thing about Peckham car boot sale at the moment.
Yeah.
Have a look. It's become like a mecca. I actually went last year. I went and I was quite unimpressed, but you know, I didn't find anything good, but the people now, it's become this huge, really trendy, really cool thing, and there's like loads of street style. So there's actually photographers now there, like taking photos of the street style that goes to this car boot sale.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a fun. I've seen all of those, and I think the different thing with vintage is that, you know, if you wanted to wear just vintage, you're on a dress super funky and you're very, very confident and you're quite happy with a bit of a mishmash, that real street style, which is everything I've seen from that what you're talking about. I think our version is different because she doesn't want to feel, because there's a fine line between vintage wearing funky and bag lady. There's a very, very fine line. And I think, you know, when I was 25, younger than that, I'd wear anything. I had so much confidence. Ridiculous things. The more ridiculous, the better, really. Whereas now, I would probably get locked up because someone think I'd, you know, escaped from something.
You're on day release or something.
Me in the 90s and things I used to wear, and long coats. So I think we understand that fine line, and we understand that it's about finding the gems, because you can go to a car boot sale, but we wouldn't suggest that anyone come back with 10 or 20 pieces and wear them, and definitely not all together, because it is a fine line, and it's about putting it in with your existing wardrobe and it still being your style, because you can literally be a bit. You can go in and get a little bit overwhelmed, and you could start. I do pick things up, and Rachel we're definitely the yin and yang, because she will say to me, "No, look at this. No, look at this.
No, step back,
step away from it, Joanne. Yeah,
step away." I mean, that's the other thing that, you know, is that they're one-off pieces. I mean, you know, who wants to dress like everyone else? That kind of, you know, just there was a period of time after lockdown where on Instagram all the influencers were literally wearing exactly the same things, and it was driving me mad. And I think I might have spoken to you about it last time. There were like practically 4 things everyone was wearing. I was like, oh my God, like literally no one had any personal style.
Yeah,
I think that's still the case for a lot of them. I
agree. Yeah, I think it's still there.
Uniform, and like the influences.
It's like Zobots. Yeah, I think it's still there.
Yeah, I suppose it's just the modern day equivalent.
Yes,
of that,
and I just think it changes, and it'll be another load of influencers who'll do the same. We've definitely had more people, more influencers asking us about our vintage and showing more of an interest, because it really is the only, unless you're a really confident stylist, because there's a difference between being a stylist and being able to dress yourself, and that's what I've always felt like. You'll know, because you're a stylist for other people, it's very different. We're both quite low key, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we don't really style ourselves up, which is why we don't really love taking mirror selfies, because when you're a stylist, you're styling someone else and you're creating a look for someone else. I've never wanted to style myself.
Also,
I totally relate to this.
When you're busy, you don't. Like these influencers, like, who have the time to obviously put nice outfits together and take a mirror selfie. My hair is very rarely clean, so do you know, you're working it, but it's not really necessarily the glamorous side, is it, of where we present ourselves. It's the same with like makeup artists and stuff. Sometimes they'll come in and they don't have a scrap of makeup on, because it doesn't mean they can't do the job properly, but obviously it's just a time constraint, isn't it?
It's the job you're doing on someone else, right? For us.
Yeah, listen, I totally relate to that because I go through phases of thinking, oh my God, I need to be in the front of the camera putting outfits, going, get ready with me. And like, and I just can't
Oh,
bring myself to do it because that's not actually my job. I'm not an influencer. My job is to style other people and I need to dress comfortably to do that.
You
yeah,
need knee
And
pads and shoes you can bend down in to be a stylist. And
yeah,
everyone knows you've got someone's hands on your head while you're fastening the shoes. You need knee pads, otherwise you get holes in in your jeans.
yeah,
And people,
you've got to wear practical clothes and
well, like what you're saying, you have to listen to someone's brief
yeah,
and style them for their lifestyle, their figure, and also their hang-ups. Because
yeah,
that's another personal thing, isn't it? That you have to when you're dealing with someone else. But it is very different. Every
yeah.
stylist that I've ever met is usually quite low key, and isn't the one that sweeps in the headset to outfit.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You're totally talking to me. There's a really famous stylist. Actually, she's famous. I can't think of her name. I think it's Bay Garnet or it's a different one. Anyway, she literally, you only ever see her in jeans and a white t-shirt.
Yeah.
She literally, and a blazer. She doesn't wear anything else other than that. And she's just this decorated, amazing stylist that styles, all the runway shows and everything else. She's not flouncing in
Yeah.
you know 100%. We're talking about dressing up though, because we are recording this near Christmas, and this is what I wanted to wrap up with. I want to know. I know you guys love dressing comfortably. We've just been talking about how we all have to be comfortable in our jobs and everything, but it's the festive party season coming up. So, what's you getting really dressed up? What's you going all out? Come on, we're going to a party. What would you wear?
So that's why we launched the Made in England collection, because we had everything we needed. Again, selfishly, ByElleven is created so that we can wear it. That's ultimately where. If you can't wear your own collection, then what? Why?
Yeah,
So we had t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies covered, vintage blazers, all that covered. We were like, what about when we're dressing up? So we did, we kind of started to, we do wear our t-shirts with jeans and a heel, but then there's glam going out, isn't there? There's the actual, when you are going out, you go into an event, you're not wearing a logo t-shirt, you're not, no matter, no level of styling and adding, chandelier earrings and red lip is going to change a t-shirt into an event outfit. So income Made in England, we've always wanted to do it. We tried to do it from the off, but the Wales was closed. We couldn't deal with manufacturers. We wanted internationally, it was impossible. Manufacturing in the UK, probably the only good thing, and I'm going to say this loosely, the only good thing to come out of Brexit for us, and there's no other good things, is that we are using a manufacturer in the UK. And prior to that, we would have definitely gone to Portugal or somewhere else like that. So we are using a manufacturer in the UK. It's super close by. It's designed by us. And again, selfishly, what are the pieces? So we started really small with the Susie trousers, which is our wide leg. It's elasticated waist. It's got a drawstring.
yeah,
A pocket. It's everything we needed from a slightly more elevated trouser than a track pant. And it was great, and we've worn it to death, and we'll keep it in the collection. And then we were like, what if we do it in a weighted satin, because wouldn't that be amazing? And the minute we sampled it up, it was like the flow of the leg, the shape, the drape, and it speaks for itself. The picture's amazing, the videos are amazing. And then we created the Naomi top to go with it, so it's sold as separate, you can wear it together. And then I think we pretty much said at the time, I don't think I ever need to buy anything else to go out now. It's just a stupid thing. But it's amazing. It's the number one thing that now, for over Christmas, that's all I can think about. So whether I put it as a set. So
a wide leg satin pant sounds gorgeous and flowy. What's the top?
Do the lightweight. Like the way Zara will always do like a thin satin pant, but
this is a weighted satin
because it's got that weight to it. It feels so much more expensive.
And it's beautiful. The top again. So we wanted something that would in the matching fabric that we could have with a long sleeve. Thinking all time of year. Also thinking about that we quite like to be covered up. But we wanted to add drama, so we added a big dramatic cuff. It's got a beautiful pearlised button. It pulls on over the head. It's machine washable as well. These were all the things that we needed to have, because if you've got a couple of events coming up over Christmas, and you don't want to be putting things into the dry cleaners all the time if you needed to. So that was another stipulation. It needed to be machine washable. It's got loads of spare fabric, so you can tuck it. It's got this beautiful.
So it's still got our like relaxed feel to it. It's not like fitted. It's still got the drapiness and loose fit, and then you can wear it with jeans, tuck into jeans.
Yeah. We added loads of details. So there were certain details we wanted, like the dramatic cuff. We wanted it to fasten at the back of the neck. So if you wear your hair up, it's got this really pretty button. And then we added things like a curved waistband, so that you can tuck the front, tuck the back, tuck both in, or wear it completely open and it's still really, really good looking. So we really thought long and hard about the detail to that top, didn't we? It's a beautiful set. And then we added it in ivory because we thought, what if you wanted to wear it to work? You're not going to wear it in black satin. So we added an ivory spongy crepe. So
it sounds...
It's a development. They are beautiful, and we're so proud of them.
Sounds gorgeous, and you can probably wear that. You could wear that to like the work Christmas parties. There'll be lots of work Christmas parties happening this time of year. You know, any kind of event, out for dinner, that sort of thing. What shoes are we wearing with this? And are you doing like a chandelier? Are you doing a sparkly earring? What would you say? Or keep it simple?
It's quite glam as a set.
I like a nice earring, and for me, it'd probably just be like kitten heels with a little point, something warm. I don't know if I'd go open toe when it's this cold.
I might wear a kitten heel with a little, just a really simple kitten heel though, with a double strap. It depends. I guess it depends. I'm thinking about Christmas Day even. You know, just wear it with a flat on Christmas. I've got little pointy with a bow flats. And I was thinking I might wear it with a cashmere jumper. The trousers would be amazing with a knit.
With the cashmere knit. What do you think of socks with the sandals? Are you rocking that? Are you rocking that look? That's the thing.
Socks and sandals.
Definitely with the socks and sandal, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I talked about, I'm going to Copenhagen next weekend. I love their fashion and their style. And I think they're very eclectic as well. They wear quite a lot of,
they
vintage.
are an inspiration, definitely. The Scandi countries have always been, from day one, have been our inspiration. We would like to, Nordic fashion, anything Scandi is, we develop.
The way they put things together as well, and they do socks and sandals and, all of that. I'm really influenced by them. And when I think about, if I was to say, was I influenced by someone like dressing in Paris, like the French, the classic, or the Copenhagen look? It's the Copenhagen look.
Definitely.
Same.
All day long. It's a bit boring for me, the French.
We did a talk once in a uni, didn't we? And I wore socks and Birkenstocks to it, but it was like 15-year-old kids, and I don't think they got it.
They didn't get it. Yeah, you still get funny looks. I definitely think it's not everyone's bag, but I kind of like that it's not everyone's. Who wants to be everyone's cup of tea?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. You don't. I wore socks and velvet platforms last week to this party, and little glittery socks, and I got a lot of really positive comments from girls. I think the men were confused, but
it's like man repeller, isn't it?
It's the man repeller, I would say, but that doesn't make girls were like, oh, I love your socks with sandals, so it just adds a bit of quirk to your outfit.
Feet warm,
keep your feet warm, you don't have to paint your toenails either.
No, exactly. We need socks because it's freezing, and also socks and Crocs are a thing as well, but I won't be doing that.
No. Crocs for the garden at a push, but other than that, no. Not as a fashion statement for me.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Joe and Rachel, for coming on. Joe and Rachel from ByElleven.
Thank you very much for having us.
And and I'm going to put the link in the show note, but what is your website? Where can people find you and shop your gorgeous collection of vintage and made in England and that lovely set you just described?
So it's www.byeleven.co.uk, and ByElleven is spelled with 2 L's.
ByElleven with 2 L's.co.uk if people are listening are not looking at the show notes, but I will put a link in the show notes so you can shop. And that set for Christmas this time of year sounds absolutely gorgeous.
It is.
Thank you, ladies. What a great chat today.
Thank you.
And I'll see you on here soon, I hope.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you to Joe and Rachel from ByElleven for joining me this week on the podcast. Make sure you go and check out their website, ByElleven, and I will put a link in the show notes below here. Thank you so much for listening to the Style Stories podcast. I hope you're enjoying it and getting lots of tips and inspiration. If you are enjoying it, please do remember to leave me a review and hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. It really helps me get up the charts. I would be so, so grateful. Also, you can work with me in real life on your wardrobe. If you're based in the UK, drop me an email, lisa@lisagilbystyle.com. If you are outside the UK, I can work with you online. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.